In 1998, my family flew from Vietnam to Los Angeles, California. LA was actually my first destination in America before settling in Rochester. Although it was only a short few months that I lived there, my tie to return to LA is long lasting. The main reasons are my sweet grandmother, the delicious food, and more food. Oh, just kidding. The third thing is that I can visit Toastmaster clubs there. Just this past Christmas and New Year, I spent almost 3 weeks in LA visiting my relatives, particularly my 93 years old grandmother. She is a strong woman with 9 children. About 30 years ago, my grandfather passed away due to a heart condition. From then on, she had to raise and take care of 9 children all by herself. Because of that, she's the most respected person in the family. My grandmother is the heart of all attraction that bring many of us Minnesotans to visit LA each year, also trying to escape the cold. That's another reason. I have made a commitment to travel to LA once a year, at least once a year, for the past several years, mainly just so I can visit my grandmother and spend more quality time and talk with her. I'm grateful that she is still able to do little house chores like slicing breads, making the beds, and folding laundry. I'm even more thankful that she remembers my face, my identity, and although she never remembers my age, but she will always remember to ask, "How old are you? It's time to get married." At that point, I know it's time to change the topic. Food! Food is definitely a big reason why I keep coming back to LA. Here we have dim sum with my grandmother and my 2 other aunts. And this is on the left is the shrimp dumpling, and on the right is the chicken feet. Just a little fun fact about the shrimp dumpling. It is something that to test to see if the dim sum chef is skillful or not. So that they use that to judge in a dim sum place. And the skin must be thin and translucent, but then it's not too thin that when people put their chopsticks on there, it won't break the skin and everything coming out. And the skin must also not stick to the paper or all the dumplings in the basket. The shrimp must be cooked well, but not overcooked, and the amount of meat should be generous, yet not so much that cannot be eaten in one bite. So it's very picky. So that is really the dish that it will test how skillful the chef is at the dim sum place. And the chicken feet, not my favorite, but I would always have one because my grandmother wouldn't want it. Usually the older people want it. So I'm happy to have one. It's just very squishy. and there's like small little bones that just keep building out. So anyway, I skipped that part and I'll move on to my new favorite thing I just discovered this year. There's this durian cream-filled layer cake. It has this soft, strong, sweet taste of the durian, which most of you know that is my favorite. It's not the real fresh durian, but it's still good enough. And it can make the surrounding tables jealous or maybe dislike, depending on their little preference, and it's the smell of the durian. And here is the braised pork belly. The pork belly is cooked until fat and skin are gelatinous, soft, and melt easily in the mouth, while the sauce is usually thick and sweet. So as you can see this layer of fat and then go with the lean meat, most of you probably, it's not the healthy food, I admit that, but it tastes so good. You put it in your mouth, it literally just melts in your mouth like ice cream. You can eat without teeth. No exaggeration. No exaggeration. Okay, dragon fruit is the new discovery for me this year. I know that I always seen this red one, but I have never seen this yellow one before in my life. So they're $7 a pound. So one of these small little things is gonna cost $4. And once you cut them up, they look like this, and it's sweet with edible seeds. So these seeds are edible. I like to make a joke that they're like the Chinese watermelon. They look like watermelon, except the seeds are like edible. And I think the seeds are a little fatty, and it tastes really good, and it's it quenches your thirst, and it's also re-energizing. Vietnamese, I come from Vietnam, as I told you, so I have to try some Vietnamese food. This is the vermicelli with grilled pork, shrimp, and crunchy egg roll with fish sauce on the side. You can see that there's also crushed peanuts to add flavor to the dish. It is really amazing. The egg roll was super crunchy. It just cracked when you eat it, when you bite it. It is amazing. So you guys have ever tried Vietnamese food? Try it out. Okay, my Vietnamese food would never be complete without pho. So I actually went to Foodie Space. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. It's just like studios where you can take pictures with gigantic food art. And so this is the piece of art that somebody created for the pho, a bowl of pho, and I'm just hugging a bottle of sriracha. and so there's a note here. I know you guys can't read, but like for the title of this art, it's called All for the Love. All for the Love. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. And then for Chinese, they have a Chinese dumpling, and this is filled with crab meat. These dumplings, you gotta be careful when you eat it, and I didn't pay too close attention, so I just took a bite out of it, and the moment I took the first bite out of it, all the juice inside squeezed out and it spilled into my pants. So when you're eating these, you gotta be like, at least if you want to put in one bite and eat the whole thing, or just like lean out and lean forward and eat. Don't just like eat it like normally, and otherwise it's just gonna be all over yourself. So also the last thing that I really enjoy about LA is visiting Toastmaster clubs. I have started visiting Toastmaster Club when I'm travel to LA, and also sign up to be a guest speaker to give a speech there. And this was back in 2016 around Thanksgiving time, where I visited the speech crafters in South Pasadena. They took a group picture with me at the end, which is very generous. It's always very welcoming, and people are always super friendly when you go and meet them. Even though it's like I was kind of like a stranger there, but I never felt like a stranger. The moment I walk through the door, I find many topics to talk to them about Toastmaster, about life, where I come from. People will start asking questions. You have just natural icebreaker with them, and you just feel like you blend in with everyone so quickly. So I volunteered to give a speech about, it was one of my humorous contest speech that I gave in the club, and I even have an evaluator that evaluated my speech there. And in 2007 Christmas, I visited the San Gabriel Toastmaster Club. They have a smaller club, so I actually ended up being a speaker and an evaluator for their club. And then at the end of their club, they also vote for the best speaker, best evaluator, the most improved speaker, and all those things. And I was lucky enough to get an award of the best speaker that day and also the best evaluator. I promise it's not just me and her in the club. There were like at least 6 other people. This club, we actually met in the restaurant, so we got this little private room. It's like with the theme of Elvis Presley. So the story was Elvis Presley once visited this restaurant, and the owner was the friend of Elvis. So it was all decorated Elvis picture. I think you probably didn't see this too clear, but the picture right here is where Elvis and some of his old pictures were taken in this restaurant. So people would be giving speech, and then there's meal. It was a little disruptive at time, but it was just different kind of setting and environment. And this year I visited the Lofty Speakers for this new year, and they were having their last their last meeting of the year. So they have potluck and they have props, so then they can take picture, photo booth after the meeting. It was super fun. I also gave a speech there, and yeah, like I said, it was super nice. And this guy on the left, the moment I walked in there, I start talking to him, and he turned out to be the division director. And I actually took an Uber to get to this place, and just meeting him for 5 minutes, he offered me a ride home for free. So it was super, people were super generous and friendly there. It was great. And so, as you can see, I have great ties to California, even though I only lived there just for a few short months. I have only a few reasons to go back each year, but they're all strong reasons. One, visiting family, especially my grandmother. Two, the food of all different cultures would make me wanting to come back more and more. And lastly, I always have fun and have an extraordinary experience visiting a Toastmaster club there. They're always so nice and even allow stranger like me to go into their club and give random speeches that they have no idea what crazy things I would say. So just let me show you a few seconds of the clip that I gave at the Lofty Speaker this year, what kind of crazy thing that I talked about. To be the meeting minutes keeper, realizing that I'm not going to be able to avoid communication. I went back to my mirror for help. Mirror, mirror on the ground. Where on earth can my voice be found? It was funny because earlier in the speech I said the mirror's on the wall, and I got mad and I broke the mirror, and that's why it's on the ground the second time. And that's why people were laughing. So I said quite some crazy things there, but thankfully, no, I have not been boycotted from coming to Toastmaster and visiting the Toastmaster again. So fellow Toastmasters, family, food, and Toastmasters are my ties to California. Thank you.